Welcome back to another video, everybody. We have a lot to discuss in this one. We have some tensions potentially heating up here in the Middle East, which the markets are reacting to as I am recording this video right now. We also have, again, some more economic data that we have to discuss and break down so that it makes a little bit more sense to everybody, especially with the narratives that are being pushed by a lot of the big economists out there right now. And we do have some more positive developments in these trade talks between the US and China. And as always, we're going to be going over some of the most recent pieces of news as well as the charts on some of your favorite names here, Palantir, Tesla, Sofi, and Neo, so that you guys have a better picture and understanding of what to expect next. So before we get into all of that information, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. Costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. And as always, massive shout out to all of the members of my private trading and investing community, Less Trades, More Profits. I'm going to throw up some of the pictures of the gain screenshots just from this week here, guys. It is absolutely awesome seeing the amount of success that you guys are having on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis here. For those of you guys that do want to hop in, remember, I am running the best sale that I am ever going to offer here. 50% off your first 2 months with code June with that link down below. It literally only comes out to $1 a day for those of you guys that are interested in taking full advantage of everything that this market has to offer. Remember, you get access to all of the full-length educational course curriculum videos, the daily private live streams, the full watch list of stocks and cryptos that are about to explode before they do, the pre-market plans, the macro research reports, the single stock research reports, the weekly market research reports. Guys, the amount of value in there is absolutely insane. We'd love to have you in there, but without further ado, let's get into everything over here. So, first things first, the U.S. State Department is authorizing the departure of non-essential personnel and family members from Bahrain and Kuwait. Now, we don't necessarily know why this is happening right now, but the market in general is not reacting positively to this news because, again, if some of these non-essential personnel are going to be leaving this area, well, the assumption is then going to come up of, well, there could be something brewing that they do not want any effectively non-military personnel to be involved in or to be around, and that is why we have seen this big move to the downside in the broad market kind of coming into the later half of today. Now, in addition to this, we also saw, again, CPI data getting released today. U.S. May consumer prices rose 0.1% month over month, and the estimate was 0.2. U.S. May consumer prices rise 2.4% year over year, estimated at 2.5. Core, which is excluding the volatile food and energy categories, rose 0.1% month over month, and the estimate was 0.3% increase. And year over year, we saw a 2.8% year over year increase, with the estimate being 2.9. This is something, again, we've talked about so many times on this channel here, where the Federal Reserve and all of these economists are very, very worried right now that inflation is going to start roaring back to the upside as a result of these new trade policies. But we have seen a lot of these tariffs getting walked back or at lower levels than what we were going to see after Liberation Day. And again, I don't necessarily think that the Fed is fully pricing in what is going to happen moving forward here if we continue to see these downside misses here, or effectively beats on CPI. Now, it is perfectly okay to really kind of understand that that is a risk out there in the market right now, that inflation could start to move back to the upside as a result of this new trade policy, but that should not be the base case, especially when we have gone effectively 5.5 months here with no meaningful increase to a lot of these different price levels here. And when we come over here, again, core CPI in May came in lower than all 73 forecasters in Bloomberg's survey. Now, why are we actually seeing all of these forecasters and all of these smart economists being so wrong in a lot of their expectations here? Because, again, it is a good test question if you're at a university. Oh, if we do see an elevated level of tariffs here, what would you then expect to see in terms of overall price levels? Well, you would expect them to go up, but context is key. You can't necessarily operate under the economic principle of ceteris paribus, which is all other things being held equal. In reality here. When you take a look at this tweet right here from Nick Timmerhouse, why isn't the CPI moving higher? A few candidate explanations on Wednesday. The economy just isn't strong enough to allow businesses to pass through import price increases of a magnitude that's meaningful. That goes towards that demand argument that we have been making here for really the last 6 months. Lower energy prices could offset, and some of them are saying just be patient, it will take time. Tariff rates have been in flux, and anticipatory inventory stocking allowed companies to have a longer runway to adjust to price increases. So again, think about what happened in the first quarter with GDP. The reason why GDP was falling through the floor and contracting at such a significant rate was because overall imports coming into the United States rose significantly, and those again are going to get subtracted out of GDP. Now, in addition to this, we also saw today some more developments here on this trade deal and these trade negotiations between the US and China, but not a whole lot has changed here from the last time we got a significant update here. President Trump wrote on social media that a trade deal with China is done. This comes after the US and China announced, after 2 days of high-level talks in London this week, that they are returning to a trade framework they reached last month in Geneva, Switzerland. China says its talks with the US were reasonable and frank. China reiterates that the two sides should act in the same direction, keeping their promises and fulfill their actions, show the spirit of integrity in abiding by their commitments in the efforts to implement the consensus. Trump said Wednesday that base American tariffs on Chinese goods will increase to 55%, and Chinese tariffs on American goods will be set at 10%. Until a trade truce last month, the cumulative customs levies the two countries imposed on each other reached as high as 245%, or effectively an embargo. Now let's get into some of these individual names here, because even with the volatility that we are seeing across the broad market today, we are seeing some names show some significant signs of strength, one of them being Palantir. So this one did hit new 52-week and all-time highs today, and that was really off of this news right here. In the interest of transparency, the New York Times reached out over email stating they welcome the opportunity to interview members of Palantir's leadership team. We have responded with the following agenda for the session: introducing Palantir's technical architecture, overview of Palantir's business model and Palantir's role as a data processor, and introduction to Palantir's privacy and civil liberties engineering team. Now, in my opinion, this is what they should have done in the first place versus sending Alex Karp out and doing those interviews. Remember, the things that I've been saying about Palantir here after this New York Times article, just to do a little bit of a quick recap here. Again, that article is not going to have any meaningful impact on Palantir's ability to generate revenues, but what it does do is create a lot of negative sentiment in the general public, which, no matter how you want to interpret it, is not bullish for the stock moving forward and is going to be a cloud hanging over this company's head until they can do something like this to really get across the points that they want to really calm everybody down. Now, having Alex Karp go out there and in typical Alex Karp fashion, basically kind of chastise a lot of the naysayers against this company is, again, great what he's talking about analysts and people in the financial world, but everyday people that just have concerns over data privacy and really with no technical experience here, telling them to just go out and read about Foundry is not going to do anything for them. They really need to understand their audience, and hopefully they can do a lot better of a job in this interview here at getting their points across than they did in the interview with Alex Karp. Now, the next name that I want to talk about with you guys is Tesla here. Another one that is a retail favorite here. Some of you guys love it. Some of you guys absolutely hate it. But no matter what you think about it, this one is very volatile. It moves all over the place, and there's always something to talk about with Tesla here, especially after the argument, the kind of battle that we saw on Twitter last week between Elon Musk and Donald Trump here. Now, we did see Tesla significantly rally up here in the beginning of this week. So those of you guys that took advantage of the trade idea that I was talking about in the public streams here by selling put contracts on Tesla here down at these lows, taking advantage of that increase in implied volatility, you guys are up significantly on that position there. But one of the main reasons why Tesla is starting to hold at these higher levels here is because of this tweet right here from Elon Musk, in which he says, "I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump last week. They went too far." And we also heard some comments today from Donald Trump saying, "Well, I accept kind of Elon's apology, and I think we can move forward amicably." Now, for those of you guys in Less Trades, More Profits with us, I mean, Tesla is starting to set up here very, very nicely. Towards the end of next week, we might be looking at something really, really solid on Tesla for a short-term trade idea. We are not there yet, but this is definitely something that we are going to be keeping on our radar here. Now, the next one that I want to talk about here is NIO, because they did come out with a development here that I've really kind of been asking for here over the last couple of months since I've been covering this one again on this channel here. Remember, we've talked a lot in the past about betting on the jockey and not the horse, really looking at who is managing these businesses here, and what is their ability to actually generate results. And again, NIO is really just chopping around in this prior zone of support that I've outlined for you guys time and time again here. We did make that an attempt here, kind of close to that $4 area that a lot of people are looking at. But when we take a look at this article here, NIO welcomes new executive who could help improve its financial situation, report says. Bagran Angelov, who served as head of cross-border M&A at CICC for the past 10 years, has joined NIO as vice president of capital markets. Angelov's appointment is expected to open up new financing channels for NIO. So seeing NIO bring in new executives and new individuals to help turn their financial situation around is definitely a step in the right direction here in getting them to kind of turn the ship around here. Now, again, it is always going to come down to, with this name here, making sure that they can actually deliver on some of the promises that they have made to shareholders over the last couple of years here. And something that we were talking about on the stream today is you never want to marry any of these positions here. There is a lot of groupthink out there in the social media space, especially when it comes to finance. These communities that form, again, a lot of the times people end up in these echo chambers here. If this one does not end up playing out and NIO is not able to hit its goals this year, again, I will not continue holding this company. And as I've outlined many times in the past, this is the highest risk name that I am holding in my portfolio right now. But again, even if this one were to go completely to zero, it is not going to change anything for me or my financial situation. So the last one that I want to talk about here with you guys is Sofi, because this one is looking absolutely phenomenal here. Remember, over the last week, we have been talking about this weekly breakout setup here on Sofi, and we are finally starting to see this one starting to follow through. Now, again, I haven't necessarily seen any crazy news on Sofi here, but with the way that this company has been growing, and everything that they are planning for the future here, especially with the relaunching of crypto and hopefully getting up to that 50 million member goal, the market is now starting to see the opportunity that this name presents. So also, quite funny here, this was actually a name that I highlighted for everybody on the pre-market plan today in the Less Trades, More Profits community. After CPI, we did see a nice gap up here on Sofi, so this isn't one that I wanted to chase to the upside here, but it is looking very, very strong moving into the end of the day here. And if we can get a close above these two areas right here, 1480 and about 1489, 1490, a weekly close above those levels, we could be in for a very, very fun summer on Sofi, potentially getting up to the 17 area. And if the market really starts to love this one again, we could go for those recent highs here as well that we saw in the beginning of 2025. So that is mainly going to wrap up this video, guys. If you did enjoy the information and analysis that I provided for you guys in this one, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you never want to miss another video like this, make sure you're subscribed, turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. But until next time, guys, I will see you. Peace.